Welcome to this short demonstration on how to use LexisPSL. PSL stands for Professional Support Lawyer, and it's essentially a product where you can find all of your different practice notes, your precedents, your forms, as well as any checklists and flowcharts as well. So think of this as your practical guidance tool. Now, towards the top of the page, you've got a drop-down menu, which you can select and have a look at all of the different practice areas in there. You can then just select your practice area of interest, and that will change the page for you. Now, in terms of getting into the content, there's two main ways of doing this. So you can either run a search using the function at the top, or if you scroll further down, you can also browse across your topics. Now, browsing is great if you're quite new to PSL, as this will show you all of the different topics that we have available under your practice area. A key tip is to click on Expand All Topics to open up all the different subtopics available. At this point, you can then just go in and select any of the subtopics which are of interest to you. It will open up with a page like this, just highlighting all of the key pieces of content you've got available. Now, in relation to this subtopic, we have an overview, which is essentially just a really good introduction into that topic. If it's an area that you're quite familiar with, you might want to start off with your practice note instead. So overview is perfect if you've never come across this topic, or if you haven't come across a topic in quite a while, so it proves as a really good refresher. But into our practice notes, you can see there's about 19 in here. So you can scroll down and have a look at the different practice notes. If I select one of these, it will open up on a page like this, where I've got lots of different hyperlinks taking me out to other practice notes, as well as linking me into the different rules I have available. So because I'm currently looking at dispute resolution, it's linking me to the civil procedure rules. Now you can see as I scroll down, there's more hyperlinks in there. And as I go further down, you've also got these orange speech bubbles on the right-hand side, and these just lay out your legal authorities. So it's great at having a look at the underlying bare bones of the law for each paragraph. And these are all hyperlinks, so you can click into them and get more information that way. Now, with every single page, we've got a print, download, and email function. You will also have a table of contents to help you navigate through the different sections you have available on this practice note. So if I'd like to specifically have a look at the background, I'd select the last option and it will take me to that section. But just scrolling to the top again, on the right-hand side, we've got this related documents box in here. And this is extremely useful because it saves you a lot of time from having to go in and do your research. The overview essentially allows you to take a step back and just have a look at those different introductions in relation to the practice note that you're currently in. You can also have a look at other key practice notes in here too. Once again, all hyperlinked, so you can click into those quite easily. You will then get some Q&As in here, and you can click into them to get your questions and answers. But you'll also get key pieces of precedents, cases, news, and then linkage into Lexis Library as well. The great thing about this is when you click on this hyperlink, it will open up with a pop-up. Just select Do Not Show This Message again. Click on the link and it will open up in a new tab with the page that you need within the correct source. So you can see that you don't need to log out and log back in again to access Lexis Library. It all works very seamlessly. Now towards the bottom of each page, you'll have this Lexis Ask function. And this essentially just allows you to ask our in-house PSL team a question. So you can pop in your question here. There's a small disclaimer just explaining that we're not giving you any legal advice. We're just giving you some guidance around your question. And if you're quite happy with that, you can then scroll to the bottom and click on Send. Now, the turnover time, it does depend on the practice area, but it does usually sit around 2 to 3 working days, but it could be a lot quicker sometimes. Within that same page, you do also have your technical support, content support, and customer services details in there too. That LexisPSL function sits at the bottom of each page, except your news analysis. But that was a practice note in there. You do also have precedents, and when you select them, these should also open up drafting notes, which are just in the blue speech bubbles on the right-hand side. And you can once again just download this by clicking on the function in the middle, and you've got several different options in here. The last option allows you to download any related documents in one go as well. So any other key practice notes or any overviews in there too. You can use the link at the top to go a step back, or you can just use the back button. But this will also show you any checklists and flowcharts, which are essentially perfect for mapping out the different steps you need to take when completing an action. You will also have forms in here as well, and these will download into a Lexis Smart Form option. So all you need to do is click on the LS symbol and it will open up in a Smart PDF where you can enter your details and sign the form as well if you wish. Just beside that, you'll have key pieces of legislation and key cases in there. So we don't show you everything, just the key elements, just to assist you with removing some of that background noise. But if you do want more insight into some of the cases in legislation, you can always click on the link to open up Lexis Library once again, and that will open up with the page that you need. Now, just beside that, you will also have your news analysis in here. And this is really useful, especially when looking at cases, as it highlights all the practical implications of a case. It also has a look at the background and the decision of the court as well. So essentially all the key elements that you need within one document. Towards the end, you'll have your civil procedure rules. Now this won't show up for every practice area, only for the relevant ones. So if you're looking at family, for example, this will also show you the family procedure rules. But as mentioned, it's not as relevant for every practice area. So you might not always get that in there. But just scrolling down, it's broken down into different subtopics in here, and then hyperlinks out to the rules that you need. The last section in here is your Q&As, and this essentially just has a look at that LexisPSL function. So when you are submitting a question, if it's something that's quite niche, or if it's something that we believe most people would want the answer to, we will publish it within the Q&A section, and we will date stamp it in there too. So you can essentially just click into a question, read the question, and then have a look at the answer just below. So really useful just to see if anyone's asked a question that you've already got. Now on the right hand side, as mentioned, this is date stamped simply because we don't go in and amend any of this. So this is true to the law at this point in time. But if you are looking for a question and you've come across it and it's from a couple of months ago or a year ago or so, you can always go into the question and then click LexisPSL at the bottom again. It will have the page ID in there, so you can just type in, is this still relevant today? That's just a good way of seeing if anything has changed. Just beside this, you will have your news analysis in here too. So this is your latest news, and once again, all date stamped. You can essentially click read more to have a look at the full article, and you can also set up alerts through this page. You can do this by clicking on the email function, and it will open up a page like this where you can select your practice area and select between two options. Weekly highlights is just all of your announcements and developments for the week, whereas legal insights allows you to drill a little bit deeper into your various different topics. You can then select your frequency, so whether that's daily or weekly, and then your format, so whether that's a summary or full text. Scroll to the top, pop in your email address and hit the save function. And that will ensure that you're kept up to date with any new developments under your practice area. So that was just on the right hand side of the topics where it says news. Now the last tab in here is your key resources. So this will highlight all of the key elements we believe you might need when working within dispute resolution. So this page varies from practice area to practice area, but essentially it will always be the most key information you need on there, or different toolkits as well. So just scrolling towards the top, you have key civil procedure provisions, as well as court guides and fees, as well as having a look at the impact of COVID-19 on courts and tribunals. We will then have a getting started section, and this is perfect for having a look at key elements within dispute resolution. So having a look at all of the different subtopics in there and just really helping you break it down into the key practice areas and practice notes that you will need. As you can see, there's some really good elements in here. So having a look at all of your precedents, all of the forms, as well as key cases in there too. So perfect for anyone that's quite new to litigation or just new in terms of being a trainee in general. Now, scrolling further down, you've got your keeping current section. And this is perfect in terms of keeping you up to date. So this will once again have your weekly highlights, which you can get in an alert, but it will also show you any civil procedure rules updates. It's a really good page for having a look at key elements such as Brexit, as well as COVID-19. Now, scrolling towards the top again, you have some toolkits in here. And these essentially just take you step by step into all the different things you need to consider when looking at these topics. And then you will also have key related specific guidance. So having a look at any other practice areas which we believe that you might be looking at as well. On the right hand side, you've also got some calculators. It will open up in a new tab with all of the key calculators we believe you might need. And that's a really good page, so I'd always suggest favoriting it so you can come back to it a little bit later. You do also have something called Getting the Deal Through Comparator, and this essentially just allows you to have a look at different jurisdictions, and you can do that by selecting the practice area, subject and jurisdiction. Now that is essentially how PSL works. So you can look at your topics, your news and your key resources. Now if you do want to search for something, just use this natural language search at the top. Make sure you click into your filters and ensure that you are searching across the correct practice area. So sometimes it might have all of these selected and that could bring back quite a lot of results. So deselect everything and only select your area of interest. Once that's done, you can type in your keywords. And you can see that as I'm typing, we are getting a couple of results in there. But the key thing is to add some speech marks around this. When you do this, it will phrase protect it so that it won't search a part in one paragraph and offer in a different one. It will just search for it as a phrase. Once you're done, click on search, and that will take you onto the search results page where the content is exactly the same, it's just laid out a little bit differently. You've got your results at the top and then your document types on the left. So it's just a different way of getting into content. Now, the very last thing that I'd like to show you on LexisPSL is that you can set up for a practice area to be your homepage. So just at the top, click on My Settings, click on Change Your Default Homepage, and you can select a practice area in here, or you can select to stick to the last practice area page viewed, just depending on what you prefer. But each time you hit that LexisPSL button, it will take you to your preferred homepage. But that is essentially how LexisPSL works. Thank you very much for tuning into this demonstration.